Welcome to the Hollywood vs. Hollywood podcast. I am your host, HT, joining you with my co-host, the Bearheart himself, Michael Herbert.
I'm happy to be here.
Michael, tell me which of these two movies am I describing? While traveling on a flight because of the death of a beloved family member, a white woman who is very good at her job is targeted by a terrorist organization so they can get access to something that only this sweet white woman has special access to. When another close family member of her faces danger, she must do everything in her power to save her family, thwart the terrorist plot, and also there is a big explosion in the climax scene of the movie. Which movie did I just describe, Michael?
This is Driving Miss Daisy, isn't it? No, I think there are two films from 2005 that you might be describing.
Today on the Hollywood vs. Hollywood podcast, we are talking about Flightplan versus Red Eye. Let's start with Flightplan. Spin the trailer, Michael.
This Friday,
When you wake up, we'll be in New York.
buckle up
You found my daughter.
Does anybody remember seeing the girl?
No, sir.
for the year's most intense thriller.
We don't have any record of your daughter ever having been on board.
What?
Critics are calling Flightplan a highly entertaining, heart-stopping thriller.
Where's Julia?
Jodie Foster rocks.
Why would anyone want to take your daughter?
Fasten your seatbelts and hang on for a first-rate action thriller.
I'm gonna find my daughter.
Flightplan, rated PG-13.
Michael, what is Flightplan about?
Flightplan, starring Jodie Foster, is about a woman whose husband has recently passed away, and during the flight returning her and her daughter, young daughter, from Berlin back to the United States, her young daughter goes missing. And there's a question as to whether or not her daughter was there at all.
What was the Rotten Tomatoes score?
Flightplan, rated PG-13 with a running time of 1 hour and 38 minutes. Nice two movies this week, around 100 minutes, which was a little bit of a load off from our previous episode. Has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 37%.
That's low. I'm surprised. It's quite low.
With an audience score of 48% and a 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Why do you think it's so low?
I think we will discuss that very subject throughout today's podcast.
All right. Our second contender today is Red Eye. Play the trailer.
So are you on this?
Very delayed flight to Miami. Yep, you.
Sadly, yes. To always looking forward.
Cheers. Hi, that's actually my seat.
You're kidding. You're not kidding.
What do you do?
When the plane lands, the ride begins.
Sometimes bad things happen to good people.
Red Eye, rated PG-13.
Michael, what is Red Eye about?
Red Eye is about a young woman, a hotel manager, who is returning from her grandmother's funeral, and she has the unfortunate occurrence to sit next to a man with a complicated plot to assassinate an appointed official, and we get to see how she deals with that.
What is the Rotten Tomatoes score? And why is it called Red Eye?
Well, let me approach those in the inverse order. Well, Red Eye is what you would call an overnight flight, right?
Yeah, but why?
Because you get there and you didn't sleep because you were on the plane. So you get there and your eyes are red.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Rated PG-13 with a running time of 1 hour and 25 minutes. Red Eye has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 79%, an audience score of 64%, and a 3.1 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Huh. I'm surprised that Red Eye is so much higher in terms of score.
I was wondering if you were going to be surprised by that too. I am surprised by that, and I've just been wondering if I'm wrong.
The only reason I can think of is release dates, because Jodie Foster is a much bigger star than any of the entire cast of both movies.
I have a feeling we'll suss out some things that maybe you and I weren't thinking independently during our conversation today.
Both are fun thrillers. I've actually watched them both twice for this episode now.
Wow.
Yeah. What is your favorite thriller that takes place on an airplane?
My favorite thriller. I don't know if these are 100% by definition thriller, but I'm a big Air Force One fan. I'm a big Con Air fan.
Oh, yeah. I missed Con Air. But that's an action movie.
I think they're both action films and action thriller that there's parts of it that take place on a plane. Maybe it's more about the airport, but it's awesome. That's Die Hard 2.
Die Hard 2. Yeah. Have you seen Executive Decision yet?
No, you've been on me.
That's my favorite.
It's Steven Seagal, right?
There's this nice Steven Seagal surprise in it.
Okay.
But Kurt Russell is in it, and I think you love
it's more a Kurt Russell movie. You're right.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation. I'll get to it.
It's an action movie, but it has thrilling aspects. And if you liked, what was it, Passenger 77 with Wesley Snipes? If you like that, then you will like Executive Decision.
I mean, when I prepare for these podcasts, we read about the writers, the directors, the actors, and you see all these other films that they're in and that I'm interested in. The writers of the music, the cinematographers, you know? And so I have a whiteboard in my office, and every episode, the list of movies to check out just gets longer and longer and longer.
We need to make an executive decision to watch Executive Decision.
Well played.
All right, please set your seat to the upright position, fasten your seatbelt, and let's get ready to take off. Women will bang their heads and lose consciousness. American travelers will act like a-holes. But only one movie can emerge, a true Hollywood champion, in the Hollywood versus Hollywood podcast. I watch a lot of ID refusal videos.
Like, I knew she was going to stab him.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But where?
Yeah. We have a very simple process. Each movie will compete in 19 different rounds, and it will be granted a point if it wins the round. In the end, whichever movie has the most total points wins this episode of the Hollywood versus Hollywood podcast. The other movie's flight gets canceled due to bad weather. Michael and I are also each allowed the ace up the sleeve. Michael, what is the ace up the sleeve?
The ace up the sleeve brings an end to the debate in any one category. So if you feel strongly about giving the point to a film, or if I feel strongly about giving a point to the film, one of us can pull the ace up the sleeve and end the debate right there. Each ace up the sleeve is vulnerable to the other host's ace, so that if you disagree when I pull my ace, you can use yours to reverse it, or vice versa.
Cool. You ready to take off?
Yes.
Round 1. Which movie won the release date? Flightplan was released on September 23, 2005. Red Eye was released on August 19th, 2005. Tell me, Michael, which movie took off from the runway first?
Sounds like Red Eye took off first.
And this is close enough for me to think why Red Eye, the Rotten Tomatoes thing we were wondering. This would clarify that for me.
I'm not 100% sure that I agree with that assessment, respectfully. I know that I'm normally not disagreeing with you respectfully, but I am in this moment. There was definitely a narrative around these two films wherein Red Eye was held up as almost a return to form for Wes Craven, and I'm sure we'll get there. And despite the the pedigree of the people working on Flightplan, that it was just considered a disappointment. So I think, perhaps it was expectation based, people's disappointment in the film, the in-theater experience. But, one of the other reasons that I feel like I disagree with your assessment is that we are a long way away from these films being released in theaters. They were released in 2005. That's 18 years ago. Whew. And that's a long time for the audience scores, for the Google audience satisfaction score, for the Letterboxd score. Letterboxd has only been around for a couple years at most. So it seems like no matter when people approached these films in the last 18 years, they were more disappointed in Flightplan than they were in Red Eye. That's the end of my respectful disagreement.
Okay, well, so Red Eye gets a point for coming to the theaters first. Round 2. Which movie won the box office? Flightplan, with a budget of $55 million, grossed $223.4 million worldwide, plus the $5 I spent the other day to rent it. Red Eye, with a budget of $26 million, grossed $95.5 million worldwide. Between Flightplan and Red Eye, which movie won the box office, Michael?
I was busy writing down the result from our first category, so why don't you tell me?
Well,
Oh, it's Flightplan, right?
yeah.
Yeah, Flightplan was like a box office juggernaut.
Was it?
How many million did you say?
223.4 off of 55.
I mean, a $200 million
That's quadruple.
movie is, that's pretty impressive for, respectfully, again, a female-led thriller.
Jodie Foster, man, she packs those seats. I mean, when I watched Panic Room, it wasn't for Fincher, it was for Jodie Foster.
I watched it for Forrest Whitaker.
Oh, really? I mean, I love Forrest Whitaker.
I started that comment without knowing which actor. I was leaning K-Stew.
Yeah, I was surprised you did not say what's the weird dude's name? Not Gyllenhaal, the other guy,
Oh, I can't recall.
Joker guy.
Oh, Jared Leto.
Jared
That's
Leto.
early Jared Leto.
Yeah, I thought you would have said Jared Leto. That would have completed that joke perfectly.
I thought I ran through them in my head, and I thought Forrest Whitaker was the funniest option.
Yeah, is he the most successful one-eye acts weird actor in the world?
Let me get back to you on that.
Add Flightplan to the tally for winning who won the box office. Round 3. Was that mean of me for Forrest Whitaker? Probably. Round 3. Which movie has the better title? What do you think, Michael?
I'm stuck on
Panic Room?
no Forrest Whitaker. Thinking about him as Saw Gerrera.
He's great. He's a great actor. Great actor. Forrest
Best
Whitaker.
title: Flightplan versus Red Eye. Well, since you didn't know what Red Eye meant, well, where did you come down on this?
Flightplan. Simple.
See, I would have said Red Eye.
Why Red Eye?
Flightplan feels like something that, well, every flight has a flight plan, and more often than not, and you and I fly a lot, the flights go according to plan. So I don't think that there's a built-in tension to that title. On the other hand, Red Eye, you know that there's going to be some discomfort. It's going to take place at night. It's going to keep you from sleeping.
You think it's going to be like an infection of some sort?
It's not a pink eye thing we're talking about. We're just talking about, like when you haven't slept and then you have like red eyes.
Yeah, okay.
I think the color red, right, is considered a nefarious color.
Sure. Okay. I don't know if I'm convinced, but I don't think I have an argument to convince you either.
Yeah, I don't think you do either.
So, whatever. Pick one.
Red Eye.
All right. Put it on the board for Red Eye for best title. Round 4. Which movie has the best leading actor? Flightplan stars Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster started as a child actor, did a lot of work over the years. She famously starred in Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver opposite De Niro. She starred in the original Freaky Friday movie, but her claim to fame, did I say flame? Her claim to fame was as Clarice in The Silence of the Lambs. She also starred in some of my favorite movies like Contact, Panic Room, Inside Man, and Elysium, amongst many other films. What do you think of her filmography, and what did you think of her as Kyle Pratt in Flightplan?
I liked her a lot in this movie. The movie rests very squarely on her shoulders. You named all of the films that I had written down, and in terms of the films that she's in that are important to me. She's like 15 in Taxi Driver. How does that even happen? I was curious where you were on Contact. You're in on Contact. Okay, me too. And Silence of the Lambs, maybe in my top 10. I haven't done an official top 10 in quite a while, but I've watched The Silence of the Lambs a couple times over the past year, and
You bring it up in conversation often.
man, it really has left a mark on me. It is a film with a ton of like gravitas. you like feel the weight of the camera and the 35 millimeter film, and the thing that Demi does with having the actors look into the camera. It's just, oh man, it's just so immersive.
Can you do a good Hannibal Lecter?
I can't do the. I can't do it. I can't do the fava bean thing.
That was a good attempt though.
I know my limits. But yeah, she's awesome. She's awesome in Panic Room. She's awesome in Inside Man. As I said, I really liked her performance in this film. And I think both of these films are a great testament to how far good actors will bring you. I don't know that the plot in either of these films is all that strong, but I had no problem getting through the 90 to 100 minute running time of either film because the actors were interesting to watch.
If you were like a big budget Hollywood director and you had the choice of casting Jodie Foster or Sigourney Weaver, who would you pick?
I mean, well, is it another Alien film? That's not. What kind of a question is this?
Well, I think they're both great actors, but I don't know if I see Jodie Foster as like an action hero.
She's less physical than Sigourney Weaver, but a big part of the movie Flightplan is weaseling in and out of tiny spaces.
Yeah,
which she's really good at.
She's good at. So Jodie Foster in Flightplan is like Shia LaBeouf in the first Transformer movie, or like Charlton Copley in District 9. I mean, the performance of the main actor is the main reason why these movies work.
You have stunned me.
With a Shia LaBeouf?
With a Shia LaBeouf. Not just a Shia LaBeouf, but a Transformers reference. Continue.
I think Jodie Foster is the A-list awesome actor in what is otherwise a B movie. You know? She elevates the material. It's kind of like the Queen Ramonda throne room thing in Wakanda Forever with what Angela Bassett brought to the table. What do you think?
I think the plot is that of a B movie. But again, I think the people working on the film are of a pretty high caliber. And we'll talk more about that in upcoming categories. I was impressed while watching the film, acknowledging in real time that they don't shoot films in order. But I always felt like the level of anxiousness or panic that Jodie Foster was experiencing was appropriate for that moment. And I was impressed that despite jumping from one scene to another as you're shooting, and maybe they did shoot it a little bit in order because it's all in one location. That would be an oddity. But to summarize, I was just always with her on her emotional journey, and the way that she communicates that is through her facial expression and through I don't want to step on future categories, dialogue that is not notable. There's not really many one-liners or interesting quips in this film. Everybody kind of talks like adults, and she makes the most of maybe a thinly written part, I think.
Yeah. I mean, there are times in this movies, I think it'll come up in the best scene category, where the camera is on her for like a good 30, 40 seconds while she's delivering her protest to the pilot. And I think that's testament to her performance. Let's move on to Red Eye. Red Eye stars Rachel McAdams, who plays Lisa Reichert. Rachel McAdams has appeared in Mean Girls, The Notebook, opposite my favorite Ryan Gosling. What a handsome dude that is. She's in Wedding Crashers. She's in Sherlock Holmes 1 and 2. She's in Southpaw, which will be coming up on this podcast this season. She's in Spotlight. She's in Doctor Strange 1 and 2. And she's also in a string of fun movies like Game Night and other few romantic movies. What do you think of Rachel McAdams? What do you think of her filmography? And what do you think of her as Lisa in Red Eye?
Well, once again, you hit most of the movies that I have. I think you hit them all. All the movies that I have written down. Rachel McAdams has a Hollywood debut. Like, I really can't think of someone who puts a string of films like this together to start. Mean Girls and The Notebook come out in 2004. Not a huge Notebook fan, but I can understand, I understand that it was a cultural phenomenon. Of course I have a heart and blood in this body. Of course I'm a Ryan Gosling fan. And then Wedding Crashers and Red Eye in 2005. That's an incredible grouping of 4 films that are teen comedy, teen high school comedy, drama, romantic drama. Wedding Crashers, I think, is like a bro comedy. And then you have a thriller in Red Eye. And that's just a hell of a way to say, like, I'm here and check out this range. Similarly to Flightplan, maybe a little less so because I think Cillian Murphy shoulders some of the load. But the camera's in Rachel McAdams' face throughout this film. And it relies on her producing a good performance to keep you looped in. I mean, otherwise, there's no real reason to watch this movie unless she's good.
Or Cillian Murphy.
But they really spar on the same level. I think they're both really great performers. And if one wasn't really great, I think it would be pretty obvious pretty early in the film.
Right. So I watched Red Eye first for this and really, really enjoyed Rachel McAdams in it. And then I watched Flightplan. And I really hated how good Jodie Foster was in Flightplan because I was totally enamored by how good Rachel McAdams was. And I knew, based on Jodie Foster's performance, that she was just going to rip it away from Rachel McAdams. So I do want to acknowledge that Rachel McAdams looks really good in this movie. So mad props to the makeup people, the wardrobe people.
She's great, and I didn't realize really until today when I was putting this, list of her films together, how much I like her in films. She's lights out in Mean Girls. She's hilarious and a perfect fit in Wedding Crashers. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I love the Sherlock Holmes movies, and she's great in them.
So I think she's great in Red Eye. I think how do you say his name? Cillian Murphy does a great job as well. And I think him doing a great job elevates Rachel McAdams' work, whereas in Flightplan, it's all Jodie Foster. Like, I'm really engaging with Jodie Foster. So for me, between Jodie Foster and Rachel McAdams, I'm pro Jodie Foster just because she's just top notch in Flightplan.
I metaphorically reach across this table to agree with you.
All right, that was easy. Lock it in for Jodie Foster and Flightplan for best lead. Round 5. Which movie has the best rest of the cast, meaning everyone except the lead actors? Well, I'm curious to see what you think here. So let's start with Flightplan. Flightplan stars Peter Skarsgård, and it stars my favorite Sean Bean, who survives this movie.
Say his name again?
Sean Bean.
Okay, yeah, okay.
What?
I know, I just like how you Sean Bean? I just
Bean?
like how you did that.
Just some trivia here. Sean Bean has been involved in some of the most impactful death scenes. Oh, this is an excerpt from IMDb. Bean has been involved in some of the most impactful death scenes in history, of having died in 24 separate films and TV shows, comprising approximately a quarter of his on-screen catalog. From stabbing to shootings to death via cow, every Sean Bean death is different.
When does he die via cow?
I have no idea. Well, this is an excerpt from IMDb. They didn't specify.
We are here to do the research for our audience.
The record holder is Danny Trejo with 65 on-screen deaths.
Wow.
I don't know if there was a cow involved with any of those. Anyways, Flightplan also has a lot of bad guys, including Kate Behan, who I believe is an Australian actor, Judith Scott, Brent Saxton, and the white-collar star, Matt Bomer.
These are people in Flightplan?
Yeah.
I don't recognize any of those names.
All right, let's just cut it out.
The only name I don't think you mentioned that I did recognize was Erica Christensen.
Oh, I specifically left her out because I know who you're talking about. Go ahead. What is she in?
She was just having a moment in 2004 to 2006. She was in Traffic, Swim Fan, and
I remember her in Swim Fan.
The Perfect Score. So, she's one of those actors that found some early success, but then couldn't really keep the ball rolling for one reason or another.
Yeah, but the 10 polls here are Peter Skarsgård and Sean Bean.
Sure.
All right, what did you think of that rest of the cast?
I like the cast. I like Peter Sarsgaard. Boys Don't Cry. Garden State. Everybody pretends now that they didn't all love Garden State.
I never loved it.
Don't. I think it's a good film. I still think it's a good film. The Skeleton Key, which is another B-ish movie that I really like. And Education. You ever see In Education? Carey Mulligan?
No, but was Skeleton Key the one where it's like a voodoo thing in New Orleans?
Yes. Yeah, with Kate Hudson.
I like that movie. That was a good one.
It's a very well stylized movie. And Education is an awesome movie. It trips up in the last 10 minutes, but it just has, it's so atmospheric and it's so well made. Peter Sarsgaard voiced the robot in Robot and Frank, which is a movie I really enjoy. And he's married to Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I
also looked up. I really like Bill Skarsgård, who's a current actor, works in a lot of
Not
movies.
related.
They're not related. Very
Well, there's
disappointed.
two Sarsgaards running around, right? There's the one that plays the clown in It, and then there's the Northman, the guy who was the Northman in the Northman, and also the dude from Succession.
I'm talking about the It movies, Skarsgård.
Yeah, that's Bill.
Yeah.
I forget what the other one is
I like
named.
him.
Oh, and then just Sean Bean. I know you're a big GoldenEye fan.
I love Sean Bean in GoldenEye and his death in GoldenEye.
And I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. And
Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones, National Treasure, and
Season 1, he dies, just so you guys know.
Equilibrium, which is the clear twin movie to The Matrix.
He's in that?
Yeah, he's in that.
How does he die in that one? Does he get shot?
He definitely dies in that movie.
Probably gets shot.
There's a lot of gunplay in that movie, so that's likely.
Yeah.
Red Eye.
Red Eye starts Cillian Murphy in a very creepy performance. We have one of my favorites, Brian Cox, in the movie. We have Jayma Mays, who's very funny, as usual. And a special mention to Angela Patton, who plays the nice old lady, because I recognize her from Groundhog Day. So, good job, Angela Patton. What did you think of that cast?
She's in Groundhog Day. Is she the bed and breakfast owner?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just watched Groundhog Day.
What did you think of that cast?
Well, it's always fun to see Cillian Murphy. He's definitely having one of his moments now. Oppenheimer. I liked Oppenheimer more than you did, I think.
Yeah.
I have just the finale of Peaky Blinders left to go. Thomas Shelby is, for me now, an iconic television role. Great show. I think my first Cillian Murphy interaction or experience was 28 Days Later.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is still a banging film. And he, I think, was acknowledged as a pretty talented character actor early on. And he ends up in a lot of big films. Batman Begins, Sunshine.
You love Sunshine.
I like it a lot, yeah. Great score. I'm a big Danny Boyle fan. Inception and Dunkirk, all great films. Love Cillian Murphy.
What does he do in Dunkirk?
He's the soldier that gets rescued on Mark Rylance's pleasure boat, his sailboat,
okay.
And he ends up pushing and accidentally killing one of the young kids, one of the teens that's on the boat.
Oh, he does.
He's like a shell-shocked World War II soldier.
Got you.
And I just read that Cillian Murphy was originally going to be the male lead in the film Once, the Irish film Once, which also might be in my top 10, but I don't think it would be if he was in it. I think it's special because it has the two kind of amateur actors that star in that film.
Did you think that Cillian Murphy's haircut and Peter Skarsgård haircut was very similar in these two twin movies?
I found the styling in both films to be very much of their time.
So it really comes down to Cillian Murphy and Sean Bean, I think. And
Brian Cox. We didn't talk about Brian Cox.
He doesn't have much to do in the movie.
I know. But if you want to see a masterclass in acting, check out the long shot late in the film where Rachel McAdams, she calls her father while he's sleeping, and her phone on the plane cuts out while it's ringing. So he wakes up, picks up the phone, says, hello? Is anybody there? We hang out there for so long until he's like, oh, guess nobody's there, and puts the phone down. Knowing that, like, Brian Cox is a little rough around the edges and, like, tells everyone to go themselves, I can't even imagine what he was like on set that day when he was like, this is what I have to do. This is the acting.
I did not know that he had that reputation on set, but I really love him as an actor. Love him in the X-Men movies. I love him in... I love this movie called Adaptation. I know you're not as big a fan of it as I am.
What are you talking about? I'm a huge adaptation fan.
You are? Okay. Brian Cox is great in that movie. And every time Brian Cox is on screen, he's just awesome.
I wrote it down right here. Adaptation, Manhunter, Rushmore, Troy.
Troy.
Where are you at on Troy?
It's got to come on this podcast.
It's a real guilty pleasure of mine. He's in some of the Bourne movies, and of course, there our second mention of Succession, another iconic television performance. Brian Cox on Succession,
but he doesn't have much to do in Red Eye.
And then Jayma Mays, Jayma Mays from your favorite Paul Blart Mall Cop. I discovered doing the due diligence for our audience that she has an appearance in Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, which I'll never, ever, ever watch. But she was credited, according to her Wikipedia page, as Amy Blart Anderson.
Oh, okay.
So I guess it worked out for those two.
Good for them. Good for them. Good for those fictional characters.
So what are you thinking in terms of where do you come down here for best cast?
So I think it comes down to between Sean Bean and Cillian Murphy. And I think Cillian Murphy just has a lot more to do in the movie. So for me, it's Red Eye. What do you think?
I'm thinking.
Because the other characters in the movies don't really have that much to do. Peter Skarsgård doesn't really have that much to show off. It's kind of like a convoluted plan.
Okay.
know?
Yeah, I really like Sean Bean. And I think what I was thinking about there for a moment was I think I like the performances by all the bit characters in Flightplan a lot more. The wrongly accused Arabs.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that those were good performances. I think the other flight attendants kind of straddling their feelings between like wanting to be helpful and considerate of this woman in distress and also like being super annoyed. And I liked the performances of the cast of Passengers. I thought they were pretty good across the board. But I don't think that that's enough to tilt it. I think Cillian Murphy has a strong and very present performance in Red Eye. So I'm happy to agree with you once again, sir.
Put it on the board, Michael, for Red Eye. Best rest of the cast.
When did you and I start getting along so well?
When you started being a little bit more objective.
I think it's maybe when we started watching movies that were less than 3 hours long.
Maybe that's why. Round 6. Which movie has the best scene? Now, you sent me your nominees earlier, and I sent you my nominees. Let's start in chronological order. For Flightplan, our co-nominee is the first conversation with the pilot Sean Bean by Jodie Foster. What do you think of that scene?
He comes out strong. I read something interesting today that said that he was cast to be something of like a red herring or a misdirection, that because of his history of playing villains, the director wanted you to think that potentially Sean Bean was in on it. But I felt very comforted by his presence as the captain. He had a strong but thoughtful presence, and I found his performance to be really believable. And I think this particular scene, again, it just shows you what great actors can do, the way that the impression that the captain has of Jodie Foster's character, how it changes during this conversation and the following conversation. This particular conversation that we're talking about in terms of best scene, it's also a good example of the filmmaking that happens to support the notion of potential psychosis of the main character being overwhelmed. And I think it's one of those moments where the camera work, the dialogue, the performances, and the editing really all come together to create a successful moment.
This is also the scene where she has her long monologue, right?
The one about like the number of places that a person could hide in the plane, that one?
No, it's are we talking about the same scene here? Jodie Foster has that long monologue where she convinces him to look for
I think
daughter.
that's the same scene.
Okay. So all of the things you say about the scene's technicality and Sean Bean's performance are true, but I think the reason why this scene works best for me is this scene is proof positive that this is Jodie Foster's movie. Her monologue of convincing not just Sean Bean's character, but convincing us that, hey, we need to go look for this kid. It's just great. You know, her performance is so great that the camera does not cut away from her. You were talking about editing. the editor does not need to cut away from this performance. He's just nailing it.
Not cutting is a choice just like cutting is, HT.
Unless it's a bad performance, then you have to cut around it. So I think for different reasons, we both love this scene.
Fair.
My second nominee from Flightplan is when the Arab guy named Obaid gets harassed by Jodie Foster. I like this scene because if you're watching this movie for the first time, it's a great scene to watch. Jodie Foster goes full Karen on these guys. We don't know if these guys are involved in the plot to kidnap her daughter. We don't know if these were the guys outside the daughter's bedroom window.
Are they?
I looked back. They're not.
They're definitely not. They don't look anything like this guy.
Yeah. So Jodie Foster definitely went full Karen on them.
They were just really killed me. I went back specifically today to be like, I'm pretty sure it's not them, but like, let me go back and check.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But the movie does a brilliant job because you cannot rewind it in the theater. So you're like, were they the guys?
They're really playing on some post 9/11 anxiety in this movie.
Yeah. We get our first introduction to the racism of the white dude who looks like Kevin James.
Yeah, he does look. I didn't write it down, but I had a thought that both these films have a Paul Blart-esque character.
Oh, I would like to know who that is in Red Eye.
I'll have to think about it.
Obaid's performance, the actor's performance shows how he feels the distrust that the passengers are feeling towards him in the post 9/11 world. He goes out of his way to show that he was at his hotel. And I love his dialogue, which I'll bring up in Best Dialogue. What did you think of that scene?
It's good. I think, strangely, again, when you look at the dialogue in black and white, it's really amazing. I wanted to double check a piece of dialogue today, and I just Googled generic internet searched Flightplan 2005 screenplay, and there it was. It's amazing to have access to things like that so quickly. And again, in black and white, the text just doesn't really pop off the page. It's what the actors are doing with it, and I think a little bit of the directing, and again, I think a little bit of the editing. All really strong work and another successful scene.
What is your second nominee for Flightplan?
A little more action-oriented scene. I like the moment when Jodie Foster convinces Carson to let her use the restroom. Does she know? I'm trying to think. Does she know that he's the villain at this moment?
No, she does not.
No, she's just trying to get loose to search the plane.
She does not know that he's a villain until about the end of the movie.
You're right. So she's just trying to get away from him. This is, I think, immediately after the therapist moment. The therapist thinks she's so smart with her glasses. She goes to the bathroom, climbs through the ceiling, and she starts futzing with some of the circuitry, and she causes the oxygen masks to fall from the ceiling in the passenger cabin. And I love the avionics scenes. I love seeing behind the scene of things like airplanes or that scene in Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation where they're behind the scenes at the opera. I love a behind-the-scenes scene. And this one's just, it's fun and it's active. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. I felt bad for the passengers. And I was like, I hope she knows what she's doing because she's like, she builds like jets, right? She does not build the actual plane.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I hope she knows what she's doing.
She's going to hit the wrong switch.
Well, so what do you think is the best scene in Flightplan of the three that we have?
We both agreed that the first conversation that she has with the captain, played by Sean Bean, was really strong, and I'd be happy to call that the best scene.
All right, let's go with that. For Red Eye, what's your first nominee?
I liked the opening sequence. There's a lot of imagery that flies past you, and I actually had to kind of stop, rewind, and replay to capture it all. You have photos of a high school cheerleader. You have the wallet, the credit cards being put in the garbage can and the wallet being taken.
Showing pictures of like a whole family doing stuff is like the laziest type of filmmaking in the opening of a movie.
Yeah.
But this movie gives you more information than just showing you pictures.
And it telegraphs, right? The pacing of it says, like, pay attention to this. We get the fish on ice in a wooden box, and then a big gray case coming out of the box of fish, and architecture plans. So there's all these little breadcrumbs right in the beginning, and it was a great way to get started. I felt roped in.
My first best scene nominee is when Lisa tells the a-hole traveler in line that, the worker of the airline is just trying to do her job. But he doesn't stop, so Cillian Murphy intervenes and holds his arm to tell him to back off. What do you think of that scene?
I thought that the depiction of air travel is much more accurate in Red Eye than it is in Flightplan. The plane is too nice in Flightplan, though I would say that the plane in Red Eye actually made me uncomfortable because of how accurate it was. How grimy and worn the seats look, how spotty the lighting feels from the ceiling. It may have actually had an effect on me in that I think I enjoyed the movie a little less because of how much it reminded me of
real air travel. Yeah, absolutely. I think the people who are in Flightplan, the passengers, are a more accurate depiction of passengers than the passengers in Red Eye.
I think that's true in that they blend in more. There's a lot of kind of key stereotype people in Red Eye who some take a larger role than others, according to Wikipedia. In Flightplan, the director himself was involved in auditioning and casting the 300 extras that fill out the plane.
Oh, really?
So I think they were chosen with a little bit more
care.
Yeah.
Yeah. It shows. It shows.
That being said, yeah, I think the scene where Lisa and then Jackson Ripner confront this angry man, that's a classic shortcut to likability, right?
Save the cat.
Your character does a nice thing. You think nice things about him. And you and I have been in that position often. I don't know how often we rush to anybody's rescue, but we've certainly seen some at the airport. Yeah.
What's your second best scene nominee from Red Eye?
I liked when the plane took off, the juxtaposition of the turbulence on the plane and the awkwardness in the conversation, or how the awkwardness emerges in the conversation between Lisa and Jackson, where he really quickly reveals himself to be the villain of the film. And it takes a little while for Lisa to kind of catch up, but it takes a little while for us to catch up too.
Not unless you had seen the trailer.
That's true. It is not a secret in the trailer, but actually I watched the trailer after I saw the film. At that point, like, Cillian Murphy just kind of had a villain face, right? Sharp features, a narrow face, and that's what a bad guy looks like.
Read this on the internet, which is that he deliberately flew out 2 days before he was about to get married because he really, really wanted to get cast in this movie. So he had lunch with Wes Craven 2 days before he was going to get married.
Wow.
And went out of the way to get this part.
He's a very serious and considerate, like, an actor who's very considerate of his career choices. So that tracks from, other things that I've read about him.
Sidetrack, which both movies as twin movies do the turbulent takeoff. Which turbulent takeoff did you like better? Which depiction of turbulent takeoff did you like better?
Well, we've said that the depiction of air travel is more accurate in Red Eye. I would say except for the turbulence.
It's a little exaggerated.
It's a little intense. There's only a few times that I've been on a plane that
has happened.
I was really surprised with how rocky things got. And, just the kind of subtle rocking in Flightplan that felt more true to life.
Yeah. My second best scene nominee is when Cillian Murphy fights Lisa in the airplane bathroom. The girl sees them both go in. The airline staff thinks that they're doing something else in there. And then when they come out, the head stewardess says, "This isn't a motel, and Cillian Murphy says, "Sure." What do you think of that scene?
I've been thinking a lot about when we were talking about The Illusionist and how Edward Norton as the illusionist, how he reacts to Jessica Biel's fake death and how how his acting is worse in that moment than in the rest of the film. I like how good Cillian Murphy is acting how the character Jackson is acting. What does he say when he said? Oh, he's just like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Just he plays off of the assumption that the flight attendant has made to, further his devices. And he carries that little smirk and smile through the, next couple beats of the scene. It's a fun moment from him, and it's something nice for him to chew on.
Yeah. What about the overall scene in the bathroom? There's a fight in the bathroom. He threatens her further in the bathroom. He wipes the soap off the mirror in the bathroom. There's a lot of action that happens in this scene.
Well, I would say the scariest thing that happens in this film happens right before Cillian Murphy enters the restroom to join Rachel McAdams, which is Lisa is on the floor and pukes into an airplane toilet. I really can't think of anything in either film that made me as comfortable as the thought of putting my head into an airplane toilet.
You think you get sucked
Oh
out
my
or
God.
something?
No, there's just a lot of butts on that seat. And, there's one side of the don't bring smelly food on the airplane. Well, because that smelly food goes somewhere. And I felt really, really bad for Lisa in that moment, and not just because of the kidnapping plot. That scene's fine. I get more frustrated with being stuck on the airplane in Red Eye than I do in Flightplan. And I think that that's probably the key differentiator between my feelings on the film and what I discovered other people generally seem to think about these films.
What's the best scene then of the four that we have here?
I think that opening sequence is it's the most fun. And
is that the one where she also talks in the taxi, or that's before that?
Yeah, we can include that in that opening scene. It's the only part of the movie, save for maybe some of the special effects stuff with the hotel explosion. It's the only part of the movie that doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't, it feels like they did what they had to communicate this part of the story. Cost be damned. The rest of the film feels very sparse.
All right. Well, I'll go with whichever scene you want to pick here.
I really like the scene in Flightplan. I really like Sean Bean. I was happy to see him. We gave a point to Jodie Foster because her performance is great. This is another. I'm second guessing myself.
Too late. The best scene goes to Flightplan. Round 7. Best title drop, which is the movie's name stated in a scene. Did you notice a title drop, Michael?
I did not notice a title drop in Flightplan. I did notice the phrase Red Eye mentioned in the film Red Eye.
When does it happen in Red Eye?
Very early in the film, Lisa's dad, Lisa's on the phone with her father. He asks if she's going to need a ride from the airport, and she says, "That's ridiculous. I'm taking a red eye. I'll be in very late." So it's not a dramatic reading of the phrase red eye, but it's there, and for me that's enough.
Okay, I think it's said with sufficient weight to call it a title drop.
Oh, do you?
So we'll just go with that. Red Eye gets a point for having it in the movie at all.
Love it.
Round 8. The best music moment / needle drop. This is going to be very interesting because we talked about one of these composers on the previous episode, Avatar 2 versus Wakanda Forever. The late, great, 2-time Academy Award-winning composer for his work on Titanic, James Horner, is the composer for Flightplan. Ironically, he died in a plane crash. These are just some of the 170-plus movies that he has composed. 48 Hours, The Rocketeer, one of your favorites. Braveheart, Casper, one of my favorites. Apollo 13, one of your favorites. Ransom, Deep Impact, The Perfect Storm, one of our favorites. A Beautiful Mind, Apocalypto, Southpaw, and Avatar. That's just some of the movies he's done.
We've mentioned him a few times, so I wanted to drop in a couple that maybe we haven't mentioned before. You did mention The Rocketeer, personal favorite. There's a new remastered version of the score on Spotify, so today was a good day. I would draw your attention to the track The Flying Circus as a really amazing example of what James Horner can do when he's really trying to like punch his weight. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, great score. Aliens,
What?
one of your favorites.
He did
Great
Aliens?
score. That's what the internet says. Glory, Enemy at the Gates, The New World, all great scores. Please continue.
I did not know he did Aliens. That's awesome. What do you think of his score in Flightplan?
While I was watching the film, I was very conscious and listening for the score, and it doesn't really punch through. I feel like there's a lot of airplane noise, though I was listening to the score on Spotify today, and I thought it was pretty great. It's not a raucous score. I did learn something. One of the instruments listed for the score for Flightplan was called prepared piano. Stoked my interest. Prepared piano is when a pianist or a composer alters the strings or mallets on a piano by laying something on top of them. You could put like a blanket on top, or some piece of like metal, or mix. Something I saw was like just like putting nuts and bolts, like metal nuts and bolts within the piano to change the way that it sounds.
Okay.
Prepared piano.
Interesting.
And something else that stuck out to me is that there's no brass, there's no horns in the score for Flightplan, which is very odd for James Horner because he loves a trumpet and he loves doing the thing that goes na 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 na. That's his thing.
Yeah, that's his thing. I thought while watching the movie, the score was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I think it built mood. I thought it built tension. I thought it moved the story. I thought it was really well done. So I did not think it was not noticeable. I thought it was complimentary and noticeable.
I think it was most noticeable in those first few scenes.
Yeah.
Before we leave Berlin. That's me. Maybe I was just dazzled by Peter Sarsgaard and didn't notice.
Red Eye. Red Eye was scored by two-time Academy Award nominee Marco Beltrami. Were you aware of this name before?
No, but I'm glad to be aware of it now.
Yeah. I was surprised. I was surprised by the list of movies.
Quite the filmography.
We have Scream 1, 2, and 3. I don't know if you did the fourth one. Mimic, The Faculty, Resident Evil, Blade 2. I love the Blade series. Hellboy, the OG.
Hellboy's Del Toro's Hellboy.
Yeah.
That's a great score.
I, Robot. I love that movie. I know a lot of people don't. Live Free or Die Hard. We both love. 3:10 to Yuma. I probably love more than you do.
Oscar nominated for 3:10 to Yuma.
Yeah, and The Hurt Locker. So we also have a bunch of popular movies that he has done, including more recently A Quiet Place, Ford versus Ferrari, and a movie that I enjoyed this year was Renfield, which he scored. And he's done a lot. This name people should recognize at this point, which is Marco Beltrami. What do you think of his score in Red Eye?
I had a similar film watching experience, which is it did not stick out to me. And I was not able to find the score unto itself, so I wasn't able to kind of take a deeper look. So I don't have a ton to say about Marco Beltrami in relation to Red Eye, though I am happy to learn his name and learn his filmography. Coming into this category, I was prepared to give this point to James Horner, not just because he's as great as he is late, but I felt the presence of the score in Flightplan more than the score in Red Eye, but I was open to hearing whether or not you felt differently.
No, I felt the exact same way. So let's put it on the board for Flightplan, composer James Horner. Round 9. Best director / which movie was directed better. Flightplan is directed by Robert Schwentke. These are some films that he has made. The Time Traveler's Wife. I think that had Rachel McAdams in it, right?
It did.
Yeah. He directed Red. He directed R.I.P.D., a famous flop. He directed Divergent and Allegiant. And he directed Snake Eyes. What a disappointment. I really wanted Snake Eyes to be good.
That's the G.I. Joe movie?
Yeah. I was a big fan of Snake Eyes with my G.I. Joe toys.
Not the De Palma movie.
Not De Palma and Snake Eyes is awesome.
That's a good movie.
Yeah. So what do you think of Robert Schwentke's direction in Flightplan?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I usually play a game with myself, which is right before I look up a Rotten Tomato score, I have a number in mind. And when I saw that the Rotten Tomato score for Flightplan was 37%, I was really shocked.
When I heard you say 37%, I was shocked too.
And in doing research from the time that the movie came out, it really seems like that was people's opinion right away, that this movie stinks. I had a quote here from one particular review, and I wrote it down just because it felt as of the moment as these films do. And it goes, "And here you thought it was impossible to plan more shoddily than the Bush administration did for post-war Iraq."
That's strong.
Christopher Orr from The Atlantic. Yeah, like shots fired.
Roger Ebert gave it a really good review.
He gave it a positive review. It's really mysterious to me why people dislike this movie so much. I enjoyed watching Flightplan. I was also surprised by how bad Robert Schwenke's other films are.
Yeah.
So
he might be a victim of the writing of a lot of the movies that he makes. I think he's a skilled visual director, but he is affected by what type of scripts he makes.
I had seen Flightplan before this viewing. I had not seen Red Eye previous to preparing for this podcast. I remembered that the plot was not very believable. So that probably helped set my expectations going in. And as we've discussed multiple times on this podcast, I think your mood and your expectation have a lot to do with how you're going to feel about a film.
In this case, I had seen Flightplan a couple of times before, and I remember the plot hole problem in the movie. And it was really late. I was really tired, and I was like, I got to do this thing for the podcast. Don't really want to get into it. But you know what? Jodie Foster pulled me through, man. Watching Jodie Foster perform, it was really late at night. I watched the whole movie. She really pulled me through.
And I think that Schwentke is smart enough to know that he was going to bat with probably a so-so script, but a wonderful performer in Jodie Foster. He lets her be front and center. He lets her cook, like you were saying, those long shots where it's really just her face. And I even appreciated there's a lot of similarities or influence from the Hitchcock film, The Lady Vanishes, which is a great film. And before I kind of landed on that, I had noted some other Hitchcockian references. There's a shot very early in the movie where we have a bird's eye view of Jodie Foster and her, who you will learn, is her deceased husband, in a courtyard, and you have these black crow-like birds flying away, which reminded me right away of the birds. And then that shot that sets us up for her Karen episode where you see the two Arab gentlemen in their apartment window was very reminiscent of Rear Window. So I just felt like Flightplan had a consistent tone throughout. I liked the shot choice. I felt like the location never got stale. I liked the set design, though unbelievable as it may be.
I was surprised they didn't use the bar at all. Like, they showed it a few times. They never really kind of focused on the bar. In
this Atlantic article, the author identified that the combination of an airplane bar and stairs on an airplane was an unrealistic combination in terms of the liability an airline would want to take on. I enjoyed Flightplan. I thought it was well directed.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it's an extremely well-executed movie, and we'll get into cinematography right after this category. Red Eye is directed by a very well-known director, Wes Craven. They say that Wes Craven apparently discovered Johnny Depp. They say that Wes Craven gave Sharon Stone her first starring role, and he gave Bruce Willis his first featured role. He is obviously the father of the Scream movies. He wrote and directed The Hills Have Eyes. He wrote and directed Nightmare on Elm Street. So, he's known as a horror director. He also did one movie that was not horror with Meryl Streep, for which she got nominated for an Academy Award.
Music of the Heart.
Music of the Heart. Did you ever watch that?
Nope.
What do you think of Wes Craven's previous work, and what did you think of his direction of Red Eye?
I think you're underselling Wes Craven's effect and influence on popular culture a little bit. particularly the horror genre, Wes Craven wrote and directed The Last House on the Left. He wrote and directed The Hills Have Eyes. He wrote and directed and thus conceived of Freddy Krueger in A Nightmare on Elm Street. He wrote and directed The People Under the Stairs. He directed Scream, which is a huge hallmark for a pivot in the way horror films are made. It's like a before Scream and after Scream kind of situation. Music in the Heart, that's weird.
Was it a one for me, one for them type of situation?
I read someone describing it as a shot at an Oscar. He was taking a shot at like dramatic fare. Meryl Streep and Angela Bassett star in Music of the Heart, and it is the first on-screen appearance of Gloria Estefan.
Oh, okay.
But Wes Craven's hugely, hugely influential for all these films that he wrote and directed to conceive of new tropes and new ways of creating tension and moments of horror and gore on screen. There are very few people, I think, that you can compare him to. And he made films like into his 70s. So, a guy who just kind of spent his life being a creative. And Red Eye was considered, in its time, kind of a return to form for him. He had made Music of the Heart after a few not well-received horror films. He definitely had some duds in his career, but often imitated, never duplicated, Wes Craven.
So I am not, despite his awesome repertoire, a Wes Craven fan. Much like I'm not a Michael Bay fan, despite his awesome success.
You have a lot of indefensible positions.
Anyway, so I'm not going to fight with the masses that have given Wes Craven money. So, fine. But because I'm not a fan, Red Eye just felt like a TV movie to me when I was watching it. I think it's a fun movie. I've seen it twice now. And I think, when we get to the category, I will align with Red Eye in the fun factor. It's not a good-looking movie. The effects are not good. The movie feels more like a 90s movie than a 2000s movie. Unlike Flightplan, whose strength is not writing, Red Eye's strength is the writing, not the directing. So that's where I stand on Wes Craven and his direction of Red Eye. What about you?
HT, I totally agree with you. I have nothing to argue with you. I think you will see me try to soften the blow by acknowledging a filmmaker or a creative's contribution to our culture before cutting them off at the knee and giving Robert Schwenke a point. I think Flightplan is directed really well. I think the plot of both films is thin. And if you think about it for a little bit, not very believable. But in terms of establishing a tone and maintaining momentum and my attention in a film, Flightplan gets the point.
Me too. Put it on the board, Michael.
And this is where I'm really concerned that you and I are just wrong. I've rarely seen society aligned so closely with each other and say, this film is better than this film than in this situation.
Well, put it on the board, in our opinion, for Flightplan.
We are going against the tide.
Round 10. Best cinematography or best shot? This one's going to be super duper easy for me. How about you?
Yeah, I think so. I'm feeling a little weird about this, but yeah.
Let's go through the filmographies. Flightplan was... we have to go through these filmographies because I think
it's wild who shot Red Eye.
Yeah. Flightplan was shot by Florian Ballhaus. So he's a German director of photography, and the director of Flightplan is also German, just so you know. And
we have to tangent here. Florian is the son of Michael Ballhaus.
I don't know who that is.
He is another late great, unfortunately late, but definitely great. He was a long time collaborator with Martin Scorsese, and this is not Florian's filmography. This is a tangent because...
And he was a DOP?
Yes, just like we're glad to have stumbled upon the name Marco Beltrami and can commit that to memory. If you are a fan and lover of films, Michael Ballhaus should be a name you know. After Hours, The Color of Money, The Last Temptation of Christ, Goodfellas, The Age of Innocence.
His son Florian was assistant cameraman on Last Temptation.
Well, that makes sense. Gangs of New York, The Departed, Bram Stoker's Dracula, What About Bob, Quiz Show, Outbreak, Air Force One. What a career.
And Florian was assistant camera and second unit DOP on a couple of those.
One of the best to learn from.
Florian Ballhaus, his son, has shot 10 episodes of Sex and the City. He shot Marley and Me. He shot the movie Red. He shot The Time Traveler's Wife.
He shot all of Schwentke's films.
Yes. He shot the Divergent series Insurgent and Allegiant. And he shot 6 episodes of She-Hulk, the TV show. And more recently, he shot a movie called Marry Me. Have you seen that one?
No.
Not missing out on
I think
much.
you missed one of your favorite movies.
Which one?
The Devil Wears Prada.
Oh, he was a cinematographer on that?
Another Merrill vehicle.
Oh, that's cool. So, he has a really long filmography, but he has a lot of B unit credits and first assistant camera credits, which is why, he's worked in the camera departments of movies like Men in Black 1 and 2, Godzilla, the OG, Gangs of New York, which you mentioned.
Definitely not the OG Godzilla is a Japanese film. It's not the Wolfgang Peterson joint.
The American Godzilla
American
from the
OG.
90s, which I really like. So what do you think of Florian Ballhaus's Ballhaus?
I'm done hedging. I love the way this movie looks. I love it. I love its blue-green tones. I love its desaturated skin color. I think he uses reflection and obstruction in a smart way. I already said that, we never leave the plane. We almost don't leave the plane for the whole movie. And I never get tired of looking at it. It's a great combination of set design, but also lighting and cinematography.
Yeah, I felt the lighting in Flightplan was significantly better than the lighting in Red Eye.
Less realistic, but it's definitely more pleasant to look at, and it's definitely more my taste.
Yeah, and there's some memorable shots in Flightplan that I can think back and there was the shot of Jodie Foster hanging upside down in the bathroom ceiling. There's the shot of the 360 degrees in the airport. There's so many shots in this movie that are... Oh, and both movies have a shot of the camera kind of going over the seats. You're showing the plane.
There's an early shot in Flightplan of what looks like a close-up on a subway train in Berlin, but we dolly out and we see that we're looking at the reflection and our characters are walking up the stairs, which the action is incidental to the story, but it was a very artful shot. And there's artful shots sprinkled throughout. There's I really like the shot of the plane landing in Newfoundland. The camera is sideways, so that the plane kind of, I don't know really how to describe that. It's sideways.
It's a good shot.
It's a good shot.
A lot of great shots in this movie. If you guys like good camera work and good cinematography, this is definitely a movie to look at.
I think it's a great example of making the most out of a limited scenery.
And then to top that off, the production design and the visual effects really complement each other. Everything just comes together very nicely.
A lot of the reviews seemed really pissed off that the plane was so unrealistic.
Is that right?
Yeah, which
I was fine with the plane.
Yeah, it doesn't. I know it's not real. I'm okay with that though.
Yeah. Red Eye is shot by one of the best cinematographers in American cinema that has ever existed. He goes by the name of Robert Yeoman. You can follow him on Instagram, Bob Yeoman. He's awesome. He's a longtime collaborator with Wes Anderson, and he has shot Rushmore, The Royal Tenenbaums, and pretty much every movie of Wes Anderson.
Not pretty much. He's shot every one.
Every single one of them. Great cinematographer. He has won the Academy Award for shooting The Grand Budapest Hotel. And besides Wes Anderson movies, he has shot Dogma, Yes Man. Where are you at, Yes Man?
Don't love it. I'm a Liar Liar fan.
He shot Get Him to the Greek. He shot Bridesmaids and The Heat with Melissa McCarthy. And he shot the infamous 2000 remake, the female-led remake of Ghostbusters. Most recently, he shot Wes Anderson's Fresh Dispatch and Asteroid City. You did not like Asteroid City, right?
I didn't love it, much like my confusion about the popular perception of these two films that we're talking about today, it did not grasp me. And as with all of Wes Anderson's films, when I don't love it, I feel like I must have missed something. But I think Asteroid City was a very particular statement that did not hit home with me.
Got you. As I mentioned, Bob Yeoman is one of the best cinematographers working today, Academy Award winning.
I think. And
what did you think of his cinematography in Red Eye?
I think, he's one of the few guys with a very discernible style, but he can turn it on and off. Because I knew that Robert Yeoman is Wes Anderson's cinematographer for everything from Bottle Rocket to Asteroid City and the American Express commercials in between. I did not know that he was Paul Feig's go-to guy, and I never would have guessed that the guy who shot Bridesmaids also shot the Royal Tenenbaums.
So what did you think of his cinematography in Red Eye?
I hope he was well paid, because he definitely was not stretching his capacities as a director of photography. It's probably a little unfair to compare cinematographers from one film to another film. They are, of course, under the direction of somebody else, and there seems to have been a focus on realism to some degree in Red Eye. There also seems to be a focus on not spending money in Red Eye.
It was half the budget of Flightplan, but it's not a $5 million movie. It's a $26 million movie in the early 2000s. That's not chump change. That's a significant amount of money.
I'd be curious to know where that money went. I like the way Flightplan looks more than Red Eye, and
it's not even a close comparison. And when you just think of those two shots of, they both have these twin movies have the twin shot of the camera just kind of rising and then going over the middle section of the plane.
They both have shots of the plane landing. There's a number of shots that you could compare one for one.
And Flightplan just does it better.
It's just more interesting.
So best cinematography goes to Florian Ballhaus for Flightplan. Round 11. Best quote / best dialogue. I think the pendulum's going to swing the other way now. What do you think?
We'll have to see.
Flightplan is directed well, but I think it's written poorly. And conversely, Red Eye is written very well, but I think that it's not directed as well. So what are your nominees for Flightplan dialogue?
I wanted to do something. I wanted to add a mention of the writers in this category. Something very important to remember while the WGA is on strike. Nobody works until the writer works. There is no film to make until somebody writes it. So
AI is on their way to write most of these movies now. No, I respect
AI sucks. Suck on that, AI. Don't come and get me like in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Just because we've touched upon that, did you notice any similarity between the setting that is called avionics in Flightplan and the computer towers where the entity lives on the Russian sub in Mission Impossible?
Oh, yeah.
Similar looks.
Very similar,
There's
yeah.
a lot of wasted space, it seems, in the airplane in Flightplan. One of the things that didn't seem very reasonable.
Yeah. I agree with you.
In any case, the writers of Flightplan are Peter A. Dowling and Billy Ray. Peter A. Dowling did not have many other writing credits, but Billy Ray has a really interesting career. Co-writer of Volcano, past HvH winner. He wrote and directed Shattered Glass, which I think is probably mostly forgotten, but a decent movie with
I know which one you're talking about.
With Hayden Christensen. He co-wrote the first Hunger Games film. He wrote Captain Phillips. He co-wrote Overlord. Have you seen Overlord?
No, but I've seen the others that you mentioned.
It's a cool sci-fi horror World War II kind of thing. He co-wrote Terminator Dark Fate. He also wrote Richard Jewell, which is a Clint Eastwood movie, which I just watched and really enjoyed.
Very enjoyable movie. I agree with you.
I have 2 nominations from Flightplan, which I don't think is a great script, especially in the sense that I don't think it has great dialogue, or maybe it just doesn't have memorable dialogue. There's a line from the father of the most featured family with children. The kids are hitting each other with pillows, and the father, who goes by Mr. Loud in the script, says, "I wish you guys would do that with bricks once in a while. That way it would end faster."
I didn't hear this. This actually happened in the movie?
It's really in the background.
Oh, wow. His name is Bob, by the way. I think his wife calls him Bob.
And then Carson has a line which just left me with something to think about. And he says, "You know, people will think what I tell them to think. That's how authority works." And he's not wrong.
I watch a lot of ID refusal, First Amendment audit videos. And you're so right. Yeah, the judges will believe whatever the police tell them.
Never talk to the police. That's not what this podcast is about. But
as a general rule,
since we have a platform here, never talk to the police without a lawyer.
And any policeman listening to this podcast, please subscribe, please share, please hit
Any
that like
policeman
button.
who's listening to this podcast knows exactly why you should not talk to the police without a lawyer, and there's plenty of YouTube videos about that.
All right, are those your flight plan nominees?
Those are my flight plan nominees.
All right.
What do you got?
I have somebody saying in the background when Jodie Foster gets rearrested. Gonna hold on to her this time, huh?
Yeah, I like that one.
I have Obaid, who was the Middle Eastern guy harassed by Jodie Foster, saying, "When I travel with my children, I have an eye on them at all times. I don't lose them and blame somebody else." I love that. That was a great dialogue.
Got her.
What do you think?
I love it.
Do we have a favorite in Flight Plan?
What was I really like the one that you said.
Hold on to her.
Gonna hold on to her this time. I like that a lot.
All right, let's go with that. What are your dialogue nominees for Red Eye?
Before we dig into Red Eye, I wanted to mention that the screenplay is written by Carl Ellsworth, whose credits include Disturbia and the Last House on the Left remake and Red Dawn remake.
I liked Disturbia. I like Shia LaBeouf. I don't know why he fell out of fashion.
Big Shia LaBeouf fan. I'm a fan of actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf. Do you know that one?
No.
All right. I got a YouTube link for you.
All right.
I only had one. I'm surprised there weren't more one-liners, more kind of like knowing, quippy pieces of dialogue to recall. So,
I'm surprised you only have one.
So I went with a story-loaded piece of dialogue. They tease Lisa's scar early in the movie, and I think the writing and the directing and the editing manages these breadcrumbs pretty well. The stuff that we see in the beginning, the wallet with the monogram, they certainly tease the field hockey stick that comes back later. It's a little heavy-handed, but it's the kind of heavy-handedness that I expect in a film like this. But we do see that Lisa has like a scar on her chest, and we find out what happens in this piece of dialogue. So she says, "It happened in a parking lot, the scar." I'm not doing the performance. "It happened in a parking lot, the scar, 2 years ago, in the middle of the day. He held a knife to my throat the whole time. Ever since I've been trying to convince myself of one thing over and over." Jackson says, "That it was beyond your control?" Lisa, "No, that it would never happen again." And she stabs him in the neck with a pen.
I am surprised you came with that line because there's so much other great dialogue, which I'll get into. But
yeah, I'm happy to hear what you isolated. I walked away from the film not feeling like the kind of quippy line of dialogue that I usually pull out was there. And I was genuinely impressed with the emotional stakes that this line of dialogue was able to add to the character, to the scene, and to the film.
I think that's a great example of, I feel like if Jodie Foster had the same line, she would have done a lot more with that than what Rachel McAdams did. Thanks for bringing that up. But the dialogue that I've written down is Lisa saying on the phone, "Cynthia, there are no guests who are assholes. Only guests who have special needs."
The customer is not always right. So I don't want to support that notion.
It's just a great dialogue. We don't agree with customer being always right, but I like that dialogue.
You know, it's the same thing as like your employer saying, "We're a family." No, that's manipulation to get you to do more work for the same or less money.
Yeah, they don't call you employees anymore. They call you team members,
Yeah.
which is total BS. You're still an employee. Don't overwork. Don't be underpaid. Fight for your right.
I love it. Let's move on.
I have Cillian Murphy say to the rude passenger in line, He pulls him aside and says, "She's exhausted. She's worked 18 hours straight, and she suspects us all hate her as much as you do. What do you say we give her a break, let her go back to her job? I'm guessing it's a lot more thankless than yours." Yeah? No?
Yeah, it's fine. It's a little clunky, and it doesn't really advance the story, and I didn't find it to be memorable. It is a line of dialogue.
The woman who crashes into Lisa and spills coffee all over her turns around and says, "Larry, could you run back to the Starbucks? I need another mocha."
That's the kind of tone that I was looking for in the dialogue of this movie. I did not mention this before, but great acting, being surprised, appearing surprised when the coffee is spilled on her. Very believable.
Good little scene in the movie. Now, again, I don't agree with the sentiment expressed by the character, but
I'm so curious where we're going here.
well, because you shot me down on the customer service thing. Cillian Murphy saying, "Lisa, whatever female-driven emotion-based dilemma you're dealing with right now, you have my sympathy. But for the sake of time and sanity, let's break this down into a little male-driven fact-based logic. One simple phone call saves your dad's life." I know, it sucks. It's misogynist. But it's a good dialogue. It's good dialogue writing, I think.
Well, she calls back to that later, right? She says something to the effect of like, "How's your male fact-based logic working out for you?"
Yeah, but I like Cillian Murphy's delivery of this line. This is really good stuff. What do you think? Any dialogue that stuck out to you?
I mean, I still like mine, but I'm happy to defer to you.
I don't think it really matters because I think Red Eye dialogue is just a little bit better than Flight Plan dialogue. What do you think?
I can't disagree with you.
All right. Put on the board for Red Eye. Round 12. Which movie gets a Good Time at the Movies award? I know the answer to this. Michael, what do you think?
I mean, I think we're going to disagree here because, again, I find myself in the position of I can't give the Good Time at the Movie award to the movie that I enjoyed less.
You enjoyed Red Eye less?
Yes.
Oh my God, really?
Yes.
All right. Is this a ace up the sleeve situation?
You want to keep it short?
Ace up the sleeve, Red Eye.
Oh, you're going to ace up me? Guess what, H? I think I owe you one or more
Think about it. Do you want to...
Ace Uno reverses.
There's more categories left.
What's this I have in my pocket? Ooh, baby. It's an ace up my sleeve. Flight Plan. Good Time at the Movies.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Red Eye is definitely more fun. This has...
I want you to know that this has more to do with me being annoyed by you pulling your ace on my ace in like 3 of the last 4 episodes than me feeling strongly about Flight Plan. But I do think Flight Plan is a better time at the movies.
Okay. Fine. It's not to be argued. Continuing. Put it on the board for Flight Plan. I'm so mad. I'm so mad about this. Let's take a break. Next up is genre-specific categories. These movies will be discussed in the thriller genre. Round 13. Which movie has the best moment of suspense? For Flight Plan, I don't have a nominee. Do you?
I have when Carson walks off the plane.
Okay.
It is the moment where Jodie Foster's character has pieced it together that the villain is likely Carson himself, and he is in that moment capable of blowing up the plane. So, tension-filled moment.
Got you. All right. Anything else from Flight Plan?
That's all I got.
All right. For Red Eye, I have Lisa rolls up in her stolen Jeep to the BMW on the side of the road. It's a moment of real suspense for me. She proceeds to kill Cillian Murphy's accomplice. That's one of my nominees. Do you want to tell me another nominee before I say my next nominee?
I didn't realize until this moment that it's about the same time as the quote that I offered from Red Eye. But I have written down here, what is she going to do with the pen? Like, I knew she was going to stab him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But where?
Yeah. I also have the scene when Lisa has the hockey bat and is wondering where Cillian Murphy is hiding in the house as another moment of suspense.
I would say that is just generally my least favorite part of Red Eye and has a lot to do, I think, with why I prefer Flight Plan more. The premise that we're going to spend the film on the plane at least for the most part, is very much fulfilled in Flightplan, despite Flightplan's shortcomings. But I did not really enjoy the pivot to the chase sequence and subsequent house cat and mouse situation between Cillian Murphy and Rachel McAdams whilst Brian Cox laid unconscious on the floor.
Yeah.
Not my favorite part of the movie.
All right. Well, what do you think is the better moment of suspense?
What do you think is the better moment of suspense? Well, you didn't even pick one for Flightplan.
I did not find the movie to be suspenseful.
I liked the pen. I felt like it was a useful tension building tool.
For Red Eye, I think I liked the rolling up to the BMW, and you liked the pen. The pen to me was very cliche. Like, there was nothing new about it. You know, I've seen it a million times. So I was not that enthralled by it. Do you feel that the Red Eye suspense was better than the Flightplan suspense?
Honestly, no. But I'm feeling a little guilty about acing your ace. and I'd be happy to defer to you in this category.
I honestly did not feel any suspense in Flightplan throughout the movie, so I'm happy to give this to Red Eye for the couple of moments that I came across while watching
Let's
the movie.
give it a Red Eye.
Point, Red Eye. Put it on the scoreboard, sir. Round 14. Which movie has the best misdirection? I'm going to tell you my nominees. You may add yours. In Flightplan, I have your best scene nominee where Jodie Foster messes up the entire plane to get away from the Air Marshal Gene Carson scene. Do you want to add anything? Do you agree with that?
I'm here to listen. What else you got?
That's all I have for Flightplan.
That's all you got.
Yeah. Do you have anything for Flightplan?
Misdirection. So that's it. I wanted to hear what you were thinking because I wasn't necessarily sure whether or not we were supposed to be focusing on audience misdirection or misdirection perpetrated by a character in the film upon other characters.
I think both qualify because there's clearly audience misdirection in Flightplan, which I think I know where you'll go with that. Do you want to elaborate?
For Flightplan, I thought about this for a while. I settled on the hospital message that Julia died along with her father.
Oh, okay.
Because it's I think the most impactful piece of evidence presented that could convince you that she's just losing it and that her daughter Julie was never on the plane.
I agree with you because not only is it making us doubt her as an audience, it's making the flight crew doubt her even more. It's making her doubt herself.
It's very effective.
Yeah.
Misdirection.
All right, I agree with you. Do you have any other nominees for Flightplan?
I don't think any of that are good. I generally like a passenger manifest. A passenger manifest is can be a great narrative tool. You have the moment in the great TV series Lost, where you find out that the people who we will eventually realize are the others. I think Hurley discovers, he says, they were not on the plane. These people were not on the plane. That's a great moment. I think that is kind of looped in with the communication from the morgue or the hospital that the daughter supposedly had also died.
In Red Eye, for misdirection, I have the Russians keeping the rocket launcher in a case deep down in the ocean where the shore police is not able to find it.
Guess which scene I've written down? That very one. The Shore Patrol.
The Shore Patrol. What the hell is that?
I don't know.
Yeah, why couldn't they just get Coast Guard?
Do
you think Shore Police was another placeholder?
I was thinking about this today, and I was like, did they not want to denigrate the Coast Guard? Are you not allowed to use the phrase Coast Guard? But they use the Department of Homeland Security as a real thing, so I don't know. It feels kind of conjured, but it's fun. We've seen this gray case being transported
in a fish box.
Yeah, in a way to obscure it. And I liked that they introduced the boat as a potential security risk. We acknowledge that as an audience, we can see the shore patrol board and inspect the vessel and then clear it. And then we get to find out how they circumvented that inspection. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I liked it. I really enjoyed it. It was one of the more pleasant moments in the movie. Do you have anything else to add for Red Eye, for misdirection?
Nope.
All right. So between us and the flight crew and Jodie Foster getting the information that the daughter is not alive and the case coming out of the ocean, which the shore police did not catch, which is the better misdirection?
The fishing boat reveal is more fun. But I think you actually raised a point that says the hospital message is a better case of misdirection, because not only does it misdirect the crew and lead them to question Jodie Foster's character's sanity, it makes her question it. It's such a powerful piece of information that it makes the main character doubt, at least momentarily, whether or not what she sees as reality is in fact true.
That's one of the... Yeah, I agree with you that is the better misdirection between the two movies. So point, Flight Plan. But while we're on the subject, since her daughter is alive and she spent the night with her and she brought her onto the plane, why does she ever doubt herself?
Because she also says that she saw her husband, that she had the vision of her husband walking her home, which is what you see at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, but she saw her husband's body. People told her that her husband is dead. Nobody told her that her daughter is dead.
She is on, what Klonopin, is that an antidepressant? I mean,
I did not research the drug.
She is on a medication, and I think if you're thinking clearly, you have to consider the power of grief and trauma. Okay. And I think it's fair to have a moment of self-doubt.
I think there are some couple of major plot holes in this movie, and I think that is one of them. You think otherwise. Let's move on.
There's more than a few plot holes, but that's fine.
Round 15. Which movie has the best plot twist? This one should be exciting. For Flight Plan, I have the reveal that daughter is alive in the nose of the airplane. When watching the movie for the first time, you're genuinely questioning, by this point in the movie, if she has imagined bringing her daughter on board. We have been doubting her for a long time now. She's doubting herself. So when we see the daughter for the first time, alive and well, it's a great plot twist. What do you think?
I think that's the same moment, but a different twist than I was thinking. The twist that I wrote down was the reveal that Flight Marshal Carson is the villain. So we see him remove the explosives from the coffin and install them in the nose of the plane. And I think that's the same moment that we see Julia alive for the first time.
Yeah. They're the same moment. So I think we both have the same pick for Flight Plan's best plot twist moment.
Double twist.
For Red Eye, I have Lisa gets knocked out with a head bump by Jackson. That came out of nowhere. I thought it was a great plot twist. What do you think?
I don't know that I would call that a plot twist.
All right.
I think the plot twist is that our friend Jackson Ripner is indeed a villain. That is the plot twist.
Yeah, but it's in the trailer. It's not really a plot twist.
It's still a plot twist. Whether or not it's spoiled, it's still a plot twist.
Okay.
Bashing her in the head is just a thing that happens.
Yeah. And also, how does no one notice that? It's not like it's in darkness. He's very well lit when this happens.
We are not allowed to discuss anything but the surface level of these films. Otherwise, we'll be here all night.
Also, do you believe that they're in row 18? They're in the back of the plane. That's not row 18.
I don't know. You ever get on a plane and you're reading the rows and it says row 9, row 10, row 11, row 21.
Okay. All right. You're defending the airline. Okay. I don't care which plot twist we pick because I think I like Flight Plan.
You're looking at a silver tier member over here. Flight Plan wins, is that what you said?
Yeah, I mean, do you think Red Eye has a better plot twist?
No, I think neither film has a bulletproof plot here. So when comparing the two, I think the twist in Flight Plan is more effective.
Okay, I agree with you. Flight Plan's plot twist is significantly better than Red Eye plot twist. The next section of this podcast is the reason why we do this podcast, the twin movie special categories. Now, these are categories that only apply to these two movies because of the very specific things that they both have in them. Both movies' plots are set in motion by a death in the family. Both movies dedicated a lot of time to a cab ride to the airport scene. Both movies have a delayed flight. Both movies have a turbulent takeoff scene. Both movies have a one black airline stewardess with curly hair who has some, significant lines
I think both of these films are a clear indication of how far we've come in terms of representation of different ages, gender, and ethnicity in film. Very white, very middle-aged here in 2005.
In both movies, the bad guy is attacked with a fire extinguisher. The protagonist gets knocked out and loses consciousness for some time in both movies. And both movies have an explosion in the climax of the movie. But we are going to dive deeper. Round 16. Which movie has the best bathroom scene where the protagonist tries to get away from the bad guy?
Ooh, this is tough because we've already discussed that I think the scariest thing that happens to Rachel McAdams is that she has to put her face near an airplane toilet. But we also discussed how fun the bathroom escape scene in Flightplan is.
So Flightplan has Jodie Foster chooses the bathroom, which will take her to the hull through the above head hatch. And everybody craps their pants when she starts plugging.
Oh my God. When the O2 comes down.
Yeah. Red Eye has Rachel McAdams uses soap to write the message on the bathroom mirror, and then she has a fight with Cillian Murphy inside the bathroom. What do you think? Which scene is better?
It's Red Eye.
It's Red Eye?
Yeah, because an airplane bathroom is a hopeless place. Nothing good ever happens there. It's not somewhere you want to be, and that is correctly depicted in the film Red Eye.
I think that scene is better as well. And the reason is, of all the flaws that Red Eye has, I think this is the one scene where it's actually a little bit interesting. I like the conflict that happens inside the bathroom. I like the overhead shot of the camera kind of going left and right and circling a little bit. I like that Cillian Murphy just comes right up on your face to threaten her further about her dad. And I think it gives Cillian Murphy especially time to shine in this scene.
He's, I think, at his most intimidating in this scene. And I think his stature diminishes as the film goes on. He never really has control of the situation, which is a bit of a problem of the writing. The plan seems pretty half-assed. But where I really lose respect for Cillian is after he is stabbed in the neck, he grabs a woman's scarf to
wrap it up.
Wrap the hole in his esophagus, wrap up the hole in his neck. But when he deboards the plane, he kind of stuffs that scarf into his collar. So it looks like he's just wearing an ascot. He becomes Freddy from Scooby-Doo for the the latter quarter of the film. And a note that I wrote here is a man wearing an ascot is not intimidating. Or at least in my experience, that's probably not a hard and fast rule.
Yeah, I wanted like a bloody neck for me to be intimidated by him.
It was a tough way for the key villain of the film to go out.
Yeah. All right, but we like the scene better. More entertaining?
Agreed.
Point, Red Eye. Round 17. Which movie has the best a-hole American traveler storyline? In Flightplan, we have this Kevin James-looking white guy who makes it a real point to get into the face of the Middle Eastern travelers in the plane. He physically attacks them when the oxygen masks drop and the lights go out. In Red Eye, we have two contenders. We have the guy who complains about the flight delay, who turns out to be a doctor, who they call to help Cillian Murphy. Our second contender from Red Eye are the Taylors, Marianne and Bob, who are there to make Cynthia's life miserable in the hotel. Which movie did it better, Michael? Racist Kevin James look-alike in Flightplan, or the irate passenger doctor in Red Eye, or the Taylors in Red Eye?
I like the Paul Blart-esque character in Flightplan, particularly when they are reviewing the Arab gentleman's hotel bill. You hear him in the background say, "That doesn't prove anything." Like he's, you know.
Yeah, and he's like, you're just going to let them go like that?
Right. He's very suspicious. But we've said it before, and I think it holds true for this category. The depiction of the not so great things about air travel feels more accurate in Red Eye. And the depiction of the couple at the hotel feels like an accurate depiction of working in a service industry. Well, you worked fast food. Did you ever work retail?
I worked fast food and I worked grocery store. Does grocery store count as retail?
I think so. You interacted with people.
Yeah.
You met people like this?
Yeah, a couple of difficult people here and there. Yeah.
I worked in a video store. I remember they were probably complaining about late fees. And they said to me, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth as they were walking out the door. And I said, well, you're talking out of your ass. And then I really worried that they were going to call my boss.
Yeah, there's some really difficult people out there. And, you have seen me, and I can be difficult sometimes to deal with. But I might be but I don't think I'm an a-hole. Is that from Guardians?
That's from Guardians.
Yeah. So I really like the Taylors. So I think for the Taylors, I'm willing to give this award to Red Eye. I think both the actors, you have to know this, that every time you see like a racist person, like, in Django Unchained, you have Leo DiCaprio. Anytime you see like
he's really racist. I don't know where you're going with this.
What I'm saying is that anytime you see like a-hole person, a racist person, whatever it is, in a movie, the actor playing that person is probably not that. But the conviction that they bring to the character has to do with just being a good actor and being able to have fun with even difficult material. So I think the actors who are playing the Taylors are really having fun with these a-hole traveler characters and are doing a great job at it.
I also like that one of the male, what are they called? Travelers? Is that their family name?
No, Taylors.
Oh, the Taylors.
Yeah.
The male Taylor, he plays one of the reasonableists in Parks and Rec, one of the slug-worshipping cult members.
Yeah. Bob and Mary Ann Taylor, they secured this award for Red Eye. Not in competition, Michael. These are quick fire questions. Respond quickly. Which girl was better? The Red Eye girl who observes Cillian Murphy going into the bathroom, or the creepy child in Flightplan? The missing child in Flightplan. Which girl was better?
Red Eye.
Red Eye? Not in competition. Which did you like better? The knocking out of the bad guy with the fire extinguisher in Flightplan, or the stabbing of the bad guy's throat with a pen in Red Eye?
Oh. I really like the fire extinguisher clunk. Fire extinguisher versus fire extinguisher. Flightplan is the clear winner, but I was really surprised when she went for the neck. So I'm going to go with the pen, Red Eye.
Not in competition. Which movie had the better climactic explosion?
All right. This, of all the problems that I have with Flightplan, this is one of the biggest. The bomb goes off, and it does not blow up the plane. The windows in the cockpit shatter when the landing gear fails, but not because of the explosion. So I don't know if that C4 was past its best buy date. But the explosion in Red Eye stinks too.
I think the outside shot, because of the poor visual effects, are not that great looking in Red Eye. But it
is a more intimidating and destructive explosion. While not looking great, I would go Red Eye.
Yeah, I loved how they were like running out saying incoming, and they're like running out of the hallway. It was really fun in Red Eye.
That's a word for it.
Round 18. Which movie had the best tripping a main character in the aisle scene? In Flightplan...
It's Flightplan. It's Flightplan.
Right. In Flightplan, Obaid, who is the Middle Eastern guy everyone harasses, he grabs Jodie Foster and throws her into a chair's arm to knock her out in the aisle.
You feel that one.
Yeah. In Red Eye, the child traveling by herself puts her bag in front of Cillian Murphy to make him fall in the aisle when he's chasing Lisa. You think Flightplan did it better?
It's a real visceral injury in Flightplan.
Yeah, I agree with you. Oh, that was quick. That was super quick.
I think she would have broken her cheekbone in a real life scenario.
Also, from a scene point of view, I really like Obaid's story arc in this movie. I really like how he was able to get his revenge, sort of.
In retrospect, it's a really interesting thing that the film really felt like it had to... I don't know if they felt like they had to deal with, but it was like a button they could press, right?
Yeah.
They could play on people's
of all the ways
post
she could have
9/11 paranoia.
Of all the ways she could have fallen, they chose this way, and it works. It works really well. Round 19. The last category for today. Which movie had the best using a super special sealed case to hide explosives for the plot of the movie to work? Flightplan has Jodie Foster's husband's casket, which has a keypad to unlock it, and she knows the code, which is the whole reason why she's being targeted. That this casket has the explosives in it that are smuggled into the plane. Red Eye has a case with a rocket launcher that is shipped with some fish and ice in a larger wooden crate. Later on, this case is hidden at the bottom of the ocean, where the shore police cannot find it in the yacht. Then the Russian terrorists fish it out of the ocean to attack the hotel room.
Are they Russian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or they sound Russian or Eastern European. So, Michael, which movie has the best using a super special sealed case to hide explosives for the plot of the movie to work?
This is a tough one because I think it's probably one of the more clever aspects of each film's plot. I did not suspect that the coffin would be used to smuggle explosives, and I guess I knew that the gray case was going to resurface with some sort of explosive device, but I was still surprised when it came out of the water, and I did not expect that moment.
So, while we're thinking about this, I just want to quickly ask, and this is my big problem with Flightplan. What is the bad guy's plan? So for his plan to work, Jodie Foster has to move to the back of the plane. While she's sleeping, they have to kidnap the girl without anybody else noticing. And then, so the goal of the bad guy is to get Jodie Foster to open the case?
Right. He needs her, unto her own motivation, go into the bottom of the plane and open the casket.
So why would Jodie Foster believe that her daughter could climb into the casket?
Well, at that point, she's looking everywhere.
But you need a code to get in. And they did not show in the beginning of the movie that it's like some special number that they share. They never, they could have just spent...
I don't disagree with you.
They could have spent 2 seconds in the beginning of the movie saying, hey, I'm going to put in your birthday as the casket code.
I don't disagree with you. But of all the unbelievable things that happen in the film, I do believe she would look everywhere.
So why does he need her to open the casket for his plan to work?
It's tough. When did he put the explosives in the casket?
Probably working with a mortician.
He must have. There must be somebody on the ground on the hospital or morgue end to have sent that note.
Yeah.
But it's tough. It's tough. And also, so he is going to have the airline transfer $50 million into her bank account.
Well, we don't know which bank account because he just says to this bank account.
I was wondering that. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes a little more sense.
Flightplan, I think the worst thing about Flightplan is this whole plan that the bad guy has.
And
it doesn't work.
Let's just talk out the end, right? So the money's in the account, and then he has to
empty the plane
and kill Jodie Foster and blow up the child. And again, that explosion just wasn't that powerful. So he says that Julie is going to be, quote unquote, vaporized, but I'm not sure I believe that.
Well, she would be vaporized because of her proximity to the C4. But I think in the air at 37,000 feet, that explosion would be devastating to everybody.
So you think the explosion was supposed to happen in the air?
FBI is supposed to believe that the threat was for the air, not for the ground.
It's tough. It's tough.
Do you think this is the most anybody has ever thought about this plot point?
No. There was less to do in 2005.
Yeah.
It's Red Eye, right? It's Red Eye.
There's just a lot of flaws in the Flightplan plan.
I think in this instance, the dumbness of the assassination aspect of the Red Eye film works in its favor because it's simple.
Yeah.
They're just trying to kill somebody.
Why did the child have to be kidnapped?
In Flightplan? Because there needed to be 90 minutes. There were 90 minutes to fill. What are you going to do?
All right, Michael. We're going to get into the count. Let's take a break first. All right, back from break. Let's go down the list, Michael. Which film won the race to the cinemas?
Red Eye.
Which film made the most money at the box office?
Flightplan.
Which movie has the best title?
Red Eye.
Which film has the best leading actor?
Flightplan.
Which movie has the best rest of the cast?
Red Eye.
Which movie has the best scene?
Flightplan.
Which movie has the best title drop?
Red Eye.
Which movie has the best music moment / needle drop?
Flightplan.
Which movie has the best director, or which movie was directed better?
We've ruined our cadence here. This is Flightplan.
Which movie has the best cinematography?
Also, Flightplan.
Which movie had the best quote / best dialogue?
Red Eye comes back.
Which movie gets the Good Time at the Movies award?
I aced your ace to give a point to Flightplan.
You're so wrong. The thriller genre categories. Which movie had the best moment of suspense?
Red Eye.
Which movie had the best misdirection?
Flightplan.
Which movie had the best plot twist?
Also, Flightplan.
The twin movie specific categories. Which movie has the best bathroom scene where the protagonist tries to get away from the bad guy?
Red Eye.
Which movie has the best a-hole American traveler storyline?
Also, Red Eye.
Which movie had the best tripping a main character in the aisle scene?
Flightplan.
Which movie had the best using a super special sealed case to hide explosives for the plot of the movie to work?
Red Eye took the last point.
All right, Michael, tally it up. What are the totals?
Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, 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 boop, boop. It's very close. Do you want to know how close it is?
It's got to be like neck to neck.
1 point.
Oh, wow.
1 point decides it today.
Tell me, what are the totals?
All right. With 10 points, Flightplan is our winner, beating Red Eye with 9 points.
I don't remember the last time it was so close.
That was a close. Yeah, it's been. I feel like the spread has been getting bigger and bigger as we go because
last week was the biggest.
That was the biggest we've ever had, the biggest defeat we've ever had. I like when it's close.
So with 10 points for Flightplan beating out 9 votes for Red Eye gets blown up with C4 by Flightplan, and Flightplan safely lands on the tarmac only at the Hollywood versus Hollywood podcast.
What would you have said if it was flipped and Red Eye won?
I wrote down, Flightplan gets kicked out of the hotel by Red Eye.
I like it. Okay. It just dawned on me that you write 2 versions. That's pretty good. Good job, HD.
What do you think of the result?
I like Flightplan more. I'm a little worried that we've stepped on some toes here. That society has said Red Eye is a better movie.
You get real happiness out of like making Red Planet win over Mission to Mars, making Observe and Report win over Paul Blart, the Great
Well,
Mall Cop.
I said before that I walked into this podcast feeling more unsure about my opinion on these films. I still believe Red Planet's a better movie than Mission to Mars, but that is not how I felt today. The only thing that gives me a little bit of comfort is Red Eye ends in the Miami airport, which is one of the worst airports in the U.S. No matter what airline you are boarding, it is like a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile walk from the parking place, from where the tram drops you off, from the rental car place. It's the worst. HT and I, we travel with a lot of stuff, a lot of equipment, and I hate going to Miami's airport. So if for no other reason than that, Red Eye deserved to lose.
All right. I was surprised that you liked Flightplan more than Red Eye. I was frankly surprised. You know, I obviously did not know which movie you were going to like more, but I figured because of all the plot holes that Flightplan has.
I found Jodie Foster's performance to be very engaging, and it kept me on board from start to finish.
Yeah, and I enjoyed both movies. I did not have a favorite, so I'm glad that it was very neck to neck. That's it, Michael. And you nervous about the flight on Friday after watching these movies?
Not until this moment.
Signing off from the pilot seat, this is HT with my co-pilot.
I was happy to be here.
On the Hollywood versus Hollywood podcast, have a nice day. Thank you for listening to the Hollywood versus Hollywood podcast.
Please rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen.
And connect with us on Instagram at HollywoodVSPod.